Sting versus Seth Rollins in the main event. This is going to be a fun one. Everybody knows the story. Basically, Sting has only been in WWE for a good hot minute. You know, he made his debut earlier this year. Well, I guess he made his debut late last year at Survivor Series, and then he came in and he did the whole deal with getting the guys their jobs back right before the Royal Rumble, and then he wrestled in his first match in WWE at WrestleMania 31. This is a guy that honestly has been rumored to be joining WWE for years and years. People, when they drew out their WCW versus WWF cards, they would always put Sting going up against the big guys. And, Sting was WCW. And Sting was WCW until basically he was the guy riding the ship down into the middle of the ocean. You know, he was one of the guys that rode it all the way. He never made the jump, even though people always thought that he should have. And, there was offers, but one thing led to another, and Sting stayed where he wanted to because he had the feelings that they just wouldn't use him the way that he should be used. They felt that they would kill his character, and he wouldn't have any value inside of wrestling. He chose to go to TNA, wrestling for them for years and years before finally just saying, no, I only got one life. I got to basically, give it a shot and see what happens. What's the worst that's going to happen by them going over there? And immediately, WWE takes Sting in. They use him as a big feature, giving him his own, greatest hits DVD, trying to sell that WCW tape library, and there's going to be a documentary coming out on him sooner than later. He was a big hit with the Monday Night War series, being able to get him interviewed and get his sides to see what is going on. If you bought Volume 1 of the DVD set, you actually get to see a sit-down debate or discussion, I guess you can say, between Sting and Triple H. So I think that they've honestly got their money's worth out of this guy before even putting him into the ring. And then WrestleMania 31, him versus Triple H was definitely one of the most discussed matches, what was going to be going down. People were excited to see Sting, and if Sting really had any thoughts about what WWE was going to be doing with him, and if they were going to give him, he talked about in an old interview, basically that, when Booker T came in, The Rock said, "Who are you?" And, Sting, as being the ultimate WCW legend, looked at this as being the most disrespectful thing that they could have done, even though that this was The Rock's gimmick and The Rock was saying it to anybody, no matter if it was Undertaker, Triple H, Chris Jericho, everybody got the "Who are you?" from The Rock to set up, it doesn't matter what your name is, or I haven't done that in a long time, but that was pretty fun. But just Sting chose to go other places and wrestle, WrestleMania 31, he was the guy who closed out the weekend with him and Bo Dallas on the WWE Network, because I think he was the one guy that people really wanted to see inside of a WWE ring at WrestleMania on the grandest stage of them all, because nobody ever thought it was ever going to happen, and I don't think you're ever going to see another guy like that. I mean, if you think about it right now, some of the best wrestlers in the world are wrestling in Japan, whether if it's, an American guy like AJ Styles, or Nakamura, or Okada, or things like that, and there's some buzz about people wanting to see these guys get signed and being brought over to WWE, but there's not this want or demand like there was for Sting for years, wanting to see Sting versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania 27, WrestleMania 28, WrestleMania 30, when Sting was a free agent and he wasn't with TNA anymore. There was definite, want and demand for this guy. Sting being brought in, even though his record is 0-1, being put directly into the main event. Sting shows up in a magical box that's supposed to be holding Seth Rollins' statue. Instead, Sting jumps out of the box, starts attacking Seth Rollins. The Authority bailed out of there. Once they make it to the back, you're supposed to immediately turn on the WWE Network. You see Seth Rollins, Triple H, and Stephanie walking through the tunnels. They start yelling, who does this guy think he is, that he can just show up here and interrupt this statue ceremony and ruin something special that's supposed to be there for the Authority. So as a way to teach him a lesson, they put Seth Rollins versus Sting into the WWE Championship match, the main event of Night of Champions, and this is supposed to be where Seth Rollins teaches Sting a lesson. Honestly, in my mind, when it comes down to it, if you think about WrestleMania 31, I think WWE loved having Sting there, but they also don't have the most, what do I want to say here? They don't have the most, it's not respect. They don't have the most trust in the guy because of his age, being able to move around and wrestle a full match, especially with a very talented guy like Seth Rollins. I would not be surprised if we see all of the shenanigans of WrestleMania 31, with more than likely J&J Security making a return, even Kane making a return, probably John Cena and Triple H being involved in this match. There's been rumors that basically Triple H costing Seth Rollins the championship on accident, and that's what's going to cause the grudge between Rollins and Triple H to grow even more before having a match down the road. There's no lock that the WWE Championship match has to happen in a Hell in a Cell, at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view in Los Angeles. But honestly, I just don't see Sting wrestling in Hell in a Cell. I think this is a one-off. This is all it's going to be. I see Seth Rollins beating Sting, keeping that championship. I wouldn't be surprised if Sting did it. I remember sitting here watching the match where it was Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins for the WWE Championship, and I was so adamant that Dean Ambrose, to me, honestly, might one day become WWE Champion. But as of right now, this is the guy that hasn't even conquered the Intercontinental Championship. He hasn't even conquered the United States title. Oh shit, he did win the United States title. But he hasn't been a guy to really climb his way to the top. I just didn't see him on that thing. It wasn't that I didn't like him. It wasn't that I was going to boo the guy if he did. And just, having this huge smile on my face of just being glad that I saw something that I had never seen before when Ambrose beat Rollins. And, he was holding up a WWE Championship. He got that moment in the sun to really sort of put him over before the referee came down and said that, Rollins had bumped the ref. That was a disqualification. Ambrose won, but he's not going to be the champion. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like that. I mean, everybody went crazy seeing Sting hold up the WWE Championship over his head, saying that he wanted a shot at it. And it was a good way to end Monday Night Raw that week. But lots of questions about this match. We'll have to see what goes down in the foreseeable future, but as of right now, I'm picking Seth to win this one. WWE pulled off a really smart move, putting Sting in the Night of Champions 2015 show. Honestly, in my mind, this pay-per-view, without Sting, just having Cena versus Rollins as a main event, doesn't live up to the hype that what it is. Bringing in a guy into WWE that we haven't seen since WrestleMania, and never seen before since then. I mean, even when they used the cheap tactics of Sting wrestling for the first time ever on Monday Night Raw, it added a whole lot of importance to that Raw going up against the NFL. And even though the match that was being plugged for the whole 3 hours of Monday Night Raw, Sting versus the Big Show 1-on-1, never really took place because of an interfering Rollins taking advantage of having Sting in the ring and making it 2-on-1 before John Cena came running down to make the save. Gave a real special feeling to what was going down, and seeing Sting actually wrestle a real match on, I guess you could basically say free TV, even though it's cable television, and you're paying to see the USA Network, really was a good tactic. I don't know how many of these people are going to be going to the WWE Network, ordering the network and making sure they're seeing Night of Champions. I'm guessing that there isn't going to be that much of a real big bump, but at least it didn't give people a reason to dump the WWE Network early, because, SummerSlam was last month. You didn't really have anything that looked that appealing for this month, and I'm sure there's some people out there who, paying $10 a month for the WWE Network might make or break their budget. It's just the way some people out there live. But Sting coming in, you had to sort of disband your disbelief, a lot like you had to do with the Undertaker storyline, which Undertaker versus Brock was at SummerSlam this year. It didn't really make a lot of sense that Undertaker would return and be so ferocious after his streak being ended, even though he wrestled at WrestleMania 31 against Bray Wyatt. Something they didn't like to bring up along the fact, WWE has never, not talked about the fact that Sting wrestled Triple H at WrestleMania 31. That match ended up being a match within a match, ended up turning into basically being the Monday Night War relived with DX versus the NWO. Everyone getting involved in this match, Triple H nailing Sting in a sledgehammer right in the middle of the ring and getting the 1, 2, 3, then picking Sting up, giving him a hug and shaking his hand, which Sting accepted. So why he would go home after WrestleMania and sit on this for April, May, June, July, and August, and then show up for Monday Night Raw after SummerSlam and decide, hey, I'm going to go fuck with the Authority again. It didn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's just the way that it played out. He stole the statue, replaced the statue, build up to the whole match as, hey, where's my statue? Where's my statue? Sting finally threw it in the trash, and now Rollins is going to be going out and trying to get retribution for losing the title. I don't think, or not losing the title, losing the statue. I don't think there's any chance in hell in my mind that Sting wins the WWE Championship, but there is a little piece of doubt in there. I remember watching the Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins World Heavyweight Championship match a few months ago, and it's basically saying Ambrose isn't made out to be WWE Champion. He'll be lucky if he ever wins the Intercontinental title, and it's just the way that I see him. And I don't know, when that match was going down and I was watching it, and Rollins fucked up on the top rope, and then next thing you know, Ambrose in slow motion pretty much hit the dirty deeds, and then hit the 1, 2, and I was just like, that was like the longest 2 to 3 count, and I was just like, wow, he really did it. And I smiled, and I was happy for Ambrose, and he got his moment in the sun, posing with the championship, and then finally the ref awoke from his slumber on the side of the ring, and he got in there and said, whoa, 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 I don't know what that ref was doing, but I'm the referee of this match, and this is a disqualification because he got messed up by Rollins, who took advantage of him in the corner. And, Ambrose lost the championship, even though the storyline was that he stole the championship, and he kept it for a few weeks in order to get himself a rematch. But I just think that Sting's here for 1 month. It'd be fun to see him as champion, but I don't think they're going to relive the mistake of having somebody come in as a nostalgia act and putting the WWE Championship on him. When you think about nostalgia acts, when you think about Ric Flair and Roddy Piper in, I believe, 2006, winning the tag titles from the Spirit Squad, the Spirit Squad was enough of a believability as tag champs that you could have them lose a match to some returning legends, and it didn't really hurt them in the long run. But Rollins has been building himself as a real major heel. Him losing to a guy which is in his 50s, I'm sure that he'll go out there, he'll sell for him, they'll have a good match. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, Sting won his 6 championships in WCW, but that was a long time ago, man, and we're going to have to see. I think definitely Rollins is the guy to have a match with Sting, and it's going to be a good one. It'll be fun. We'll see what goes down. Like I said, I got this little piece in the back of my mind saying maybe Sting might be able to do it, but maybe even be able to say 98% of me says there's no chance in hell Rollins is losing this title to Sting.